the biggest news of the deadline, of course, is that the Bucks decided to keep Giannis Antetokounmpo, and there was a number of teams connected to him: the Heat, the Warriors, the Wolves, most notably. There was noise about the Blazers inquiring, the Cavaliers inquiring. The Knicks, of course, have been connected, even though they were more quiet in this cycle. And what did the Bucks end up doing? Well, they traded Cole Anthony and Amir Coffey for Nick Richards and Nigel Hayes, and then they flipped Nick Richards to the Chicago Bulls, and they got Ousmane Dieng, who had previously been traded there from Oklahoma City. That's what the Bucks did. That's what the Bucks ended up doing. They ended up keeping Giannis Antetokounmpo, and to your point, Tom, about teams sitting players, Windhorst said today that there's a chance that they try to sit Giannis for the remainder of the season because they want to increase their odds of landing in the top four and getting either the second, the third, or fourth pick. They cannot get the number one pick because the Hawks have the rights to swap that pick with the Pelicans' first rounder if it ends up higher. So this is going to drag on until the summer, Tom. And who knows? Maybe this all ends up with Giannis playing his whole career with the Milwaukee Bucks, but here we are. He is still in Milwaukee.
It's super awkward, man. Super awkward what's happening with Giannis. Right before the game the other night, he's out there on the court working out, and the local reporters are saying, we've never seen him do this. Like in his previous calf strain, he wasn't out on the floor doing these rigorous workouts to demonstrate to the masses who are watching that he's close or trying to play. And then later that day, or in the next 24 hours, he goes on this media blitz with local reporters saying how much he loves the city. But let's not talk about the Bucks. Let's not talk about the Bucks in the direction that they're going. I really want to win. I want to compete at the highest levels, but they might have other ideas or agendas. And I'm just sitting here being like, man, Giannis really wants to play, and he knows that it's going to be a really bad look if the Milwaukee front office, the medical staff, and the coaching staff deactivate him or essentially say, sit for the rest of the year. And I think he's laying down the pretext here for having an ugly battle here over the next couple months because he wants to play. And he told Eric Name he's not a quitter, doesn't want to quit. Everybody around him wants him to sit games, and he doesn't want to sit. And I wonder if this is the Milwaukee Bucks are trying to be like, yo, we just saw Tyrese Halliburton tear his Achilles in the NBA Finals. We don't want the same thing to happen to you. And yes, Giannis Antetokounmpo is a fighter, that he wants to fight through these injuries and show that he's going to give it his all. But at what cost? Tyrese Halliburton did it in the NBA Finals. The stakes were NBA Finals, win an NBA championship in Game 7. The stakes literally do not get higher than that. Like, it's immortality for Tyrese Halliburton on the table. It's immortality for Kevin Durant in the NBA Finals in 2019 with his calf strain coming back, and he snapped his Achilles. This is not immortality for Giannis Antetokounmpo to be fighting on a 10 games under 500 team. So maybe he comes to his senses and says, look, I just need to rehab and get my calf strain right, get my wheels right, come back next season. But he is putting it out there very aggressively, loud and clear. He has no intention of sitting out the rest of the season. And the Milwaukee Bucks are pointing to, hey, we are not making moves to go all in right now for you. We did the Miles Turner trade, but man, this does not look like it's going to be headed for a very clean offseason for the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis. I think it only gets uglier from here, Kev.
Well, if we look at the Eastern Conference standings right now, Tom, they're behind the Charlotte Hornets. They're behind the Chicago Bulls only by 3 games for the 10 spot in the play-in. And so there's a chance if Giannis comes back, they could win a little bit to get into the play-in, but ultimately that's not for their best. For their best is having that first round draft pick in the lottery with a chance to end up in the top 4 with a second, third, or fourth pick, or even if you don't, ending up picking 7th or 8th or 9th and having that asset as a piece to either A, add a really good player or through the draft, or B, trading that pick for a good player that keeps Giannis and better builds around him. And that's why I think for the Bucks, it made sense to wait, because more doors open in the offseason for the Milwaukee Bucks. The door, it remains open that Giannis stays with Milwaukee and you build around him again and all this drama is in the rearview mirror. That is also a possibility with that draft pick. There's also the possibility of better offers being out there. That could happen. There's also the possibility that worse offers are out there this offseason and that Giannis is able to leverage his way to another team, a specific team, and you get a worse return back than what was out there right now as well. And so I think they raise the upside of what they can get for him. And of course they do lower the ceiling for what's possible as well with a return for Giannis. But I think that's a gamble worth taking if you're Milwaukee, especially given the state of the team right now with their current record at 20-29 in the lottery with a chance to get a top second, third, or fourth pick. So I like their decision to do that, Tom. And ultimately for everybody else that had an interest in him, Minnesota, Golden State, Miami, some of those teams might have a chance this offseason. Miami probably would. I don't know about Minnesota in the offseason.
What do you think John Horst is looking for? Like, what was the asset that maybe he was just playing, playing with everybody and essentially saying, like, I'm not totally serious about trading Giannis. I'm waiting for one of these teams to put in that asset, that player, or that pick. Because obviously, if they're listening to offers and making counter offers as that has been widely reported, clearly there was something that Horst and the front office were looking for. In Atlanta, clearly, we didn't hear anything about Atlanta engaging on them by sending a Wisconsin guy and Jalen Johnson to a trade to go get Giannis Antetokounmpo, that what Rich Paul threw out there on his podcast. You didn't hear anything about the first round pick that they have, the most favorable of New Orleans and Milwaukee going to the back to Milwaukee. You didn't hear that. So I'm wondering, from your perspective, Kev, what do you think was like the thing that Horst was looking for? Because clearly the Warriors didn't have it. Clearly the Knicks didn't have it. And the Minnesota Timberwolves didn't have it. But what do you think was out there potentially that they'd be like, all right, fine, we'll trade Giannis Antetokounmpo?
I think it was from Giannis himself, Tom. I think the Bucks were waiting for Giannis to be like, tapping into his inner Jimmy Butler and saying, I want out. I actually want to leave. And instead he's continued saying, I want to be here. That's my ideal future, is staying in Milwaukee. And so I think that's really what it was. I think the Warriors offer was pretty good. 4 first-round draft picks, a swap, Kuminga and Pods. That's a pretty good offer. And maybe they could have flipped Draymond Green for 1 first to a team. You don't know. That's possible that could have been out there for them. And so it could have turned into 5 first-round draft picks. So I think it's a pretty good offer, but not enough for me to take it today unless Giannis is willing to say, I want out. And he just posted on Instagram, Leonardo DiCaprio and Wolf of Wall Street saying, I'm not leaving with the caption, legends don't chase, they attract. That's what Giannis posted on Instagram. And so, sometimes you go through a dip in your relationship and you get back together and you're back for the rest of your life. I've got some friends like that that had breakups in high school and they ended up getting married. Who knows? Maybe that's what this is, Tom. They're going to be together forever.
Let me ask you this. Who's the player that they could trade for if they get a top 5 pick? Let's say they get a top 5 pick. Does John Horst take Caleb Wilson? Does he take Darren Peterson, AJ Debonsa, Cam Boozer? Does he take one of those guys? Or does he say, hey, I'm floating this pick onto the market because we're going to try to go and make Giannis happy. We got Miles Turner. We got Giannis. Let's go to market and see what we can get for this top 5 pick. I mean, what on the board would make them feel like if you're looking at it on a chessboard, do you keep that pick? Or do you say, hey, I see your Instagram post, Giannis. I'm going to go out and get this guy because we're not going to build right away with the Cam Boozer, with a Debonsa. We're going to actually go for it. Like, who is the guy on the marketplace that might be able to be gotten? I don't think a tier like I don't think Anthony Edwards, the Minnesota Timberwolves would move off of Anthony Edwards. I don't think you're
no
seeing
chance.
what would be the best player that they could get if they were to float that top 5 pick, because that's where it's headed right now. The Milwaukee Bucks, if Giannis doesn't come back this season and if he takes his time coming back, the Milwaukee Bucks could end up with a top 5 pick, in which case, do they select or do they trade away from that pick